Good evening, traders. Mark from the day trading room here. It's Friday evening, 7 p.m., 10 past 7 London time. I'm wrapping up for the day and for the week, and just thought I'd do a quick video to run through the day's action and how I perceived it. My objective today, going into the day, was literally just to stay out of trouble, not to give back any of the profits from the week. It's so psychologically damaging if you go into the weekend having given back a good chunk of your hard earned, or even worse, getting well out of control and losing the lot. So Fridays, I look to take a very strict with my setups and stay out of anything too serious unless the action obviously is favourable. Today it wasn't really. We didn't have a gap up of any sort. In fact, the futures opened up pretty much flat. The cash was a small gap. It was about 16-point gap down. Opened at the 10,300 level. I'll just bring the chart in for you from my other screen to see. There we are. There's the cash. Opened up around the 10,300 level. That was a nice gap trade there. I just waited to see what was happening with the first few minutes, and then when I saw this buying come in, just hopped on until the cash gap had filled. Small scalp, but that was it really. And then we're waiting for the data to come out. Consumer sentiment coming out 5 to 3 London time, which didn't really do much. It popped us a bit up towards these highs here, and we just ended up chopping around and chopping around. And there had some more data at 3 o'clock London time. Business inventories, again, nothing to be excited about with that. Just general chop. But I had two plans for today. I'd drawn in my lines. These lines obviously are drawn in during the day, but these lines here are levels of interest from the past few days. And if I zoom out and zoom across, in fact, let me pull in a 5 minute chart. That'll be easier to show you. There we go. There's a 5 minute. So yesterday, I remember yesterday actually, we really struggled to get over this 10,324 level here. It just tried several times, even at the close it couldn't. So that was a level for me to have on the chart today. And this 10,255 level here, we had several attempts at it on the downside, but nothing concrete. And to cement that, so I'm just going to bring in the overnight chart here. This is the overnight chart from my other screen here. 10,326 level, you can see overnight US time. Plenty of interest around here. Struggled to get through, and then the same, a bit of a bounce here. And another level of interest, the 10,261, which is a few ticks above the 10,255 from the 5 minute. So those were the two big levels I was looking at today. I wanted to see if the market got anywhere near those, and if it did, what the interest was going to be like. So sat around and waited today. So small scalp on the gap fill. We pushed down. I started to draw this trend line in, and then we got the little push around the half. excuse me, the half 4 5 o'clock time. Just poked under that little 61 level, 55 level. Great place for a long effort. Took a long. There was a number one local in the pit was trying to bid it up as well. Volume was really poor. Ticks weren't flushing. It was nothing significant, so it's worth a small long. Target for me was the VWAP. Got the target. Not a very big trade at all in terms of points, but that was the lot. Had it away and left it alone. But what actually happened is we then pushed up to the top end of the range. The 10,326 was on the overnight, and the 10,328 on the 5 minute. So actually we hit 10,324. So pretty much got there. Took a short on this second failed pop up, and it just rocked back. I mean, the range is so poor. I took 10 points off it, and I thought that was it. I'm not hanging around for another couple of hours waiting for this to come back to the VWAP, which is probably where it's going to end today, unless we get some extra volume coming in later. So that was it. Really, only two good setups. The cash gap was a bit of a flaky setup, really, but it was just a take read off the open, hopped on and hopped off. The other two perfectly good trades, but I mean, the better trade would have been if to hold it from one range to the other, but it just takes so long. Happy to have take my 20 points from the VWAP, 10 points up there, and call it a day and bank the week's gain. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens next week. We've got some great levels to work off. Um, Again, what seems to be the overnight trade seems to be the levels. Sorry, the levels that we actually print overnight and the support and resistance levels that we put in overnight are actually coming in quite handy during the normal hours trade. So have a look for those, see what happens overnight, see the levels we paid attention to, mark those on your chart. I've started marking those now in purple actually, and happen to coincide with a normal support and resistance, so that I know that it's an overnight level. So just to be careful with it. But the last few days they've worked quite well. So I'm going to use those again next week and see the sort of levels we've got. Cash wise, 10,300 seems to be the floor. Struggling to get through that. And if I bring over very quickly a 10-minute chart for you. Oops, that's just popped it out completely. There we go. Should be able to see that. There's my 10-minute Dow cash. As you can see, we're in this range here of 10,300 to 10,350. Have a great weekend, guys. I'm going to be back on Sunday night with a video to discuss some of the levels in play for next week.